Welcome to The Debate. Today we're standing, well, metaphorically, before a door marked "Do Not Open." It is, I think, the most provocative instruction in human history. On my side of this door lies the colossal orchestrated effort to protect the unthinkable, to engineer silence through, 3-foot steel and encoded static.
And on my side is the argument that it's not just curiosity. It's like gravity. I'm here to argue that no matter how thick that blast door is, and no matter how rigorous the vetting, the human element, and increasingly the scientific one, renders the very concept of a kept secret obsolete. You see "do not open" as a command. I see it as a challenge. That is, well, always accepted eventually.
I think that perspective, if you don't mind me saying, suffers from a bit of recency bias. We live in this age of digital leaks, so we just assume everything leaks. But you are underestimating the sheer physical magnitude of what humanity can build when we decide something must remain hidden. We are not just talking about whispering in a corridor here. We're talking about the creation of alternate realities, hermetically sealed from the public.
Alternate realities? Or just very, very expensive stage sets? Because from where I'm standing, most of these so-called impenetrable fortresses are just one disgruntled employee away from being on the front page.
That is a very cynical view, but let's look at the engineering reality for a moment. Take the gold standard, Cheyenne Mountain. When we talk about "do not open," we are talking about a self-contained city that was blasted out of solid granite in Colorado. This isn't just a hiding spot. It's a fortress designed to survive the literal end of the world. The blast doors alone are 3 feet thick, solid steel, and weigh 24 tons each.
It's an impressive piece of Cold War nostalgia, sure.
It's functional isolationism. The entire complex, it has buildings that float on 1,319 steel springs. These aren't mattress springs. These are massive shock absorbers designed to soak up the seismic violence of a nuclear direct hit. They can squeeze or stretch more than a foot. The intention is absolute continuity. You have a facility that can shut out the entire world, snapping these blast valves shut in an instant to seal off damage or contamination. It is the physical proof that we can successfully close the door.
See, you describe a fortress of granite and steel. I see a tomb. And more importantly, I see a system that is ultimately porous because of the software inside it. And by software, of course, I mean the people. The architecture of secrecy is, frankly, irrelevant if the operators themselves are fallible. History is just littered with these impenetrable agencies that were hollowed out from the inside, not broken into from the outside.
You're referring to defectors, I assume.
I'm referring to the spy files. Look at someone like Karl Koexer. Here's a man who didn't just peek through the keyhole. He burrowed his way into the CIA for 20 years. He was a mole in the truest sense. He pretended to defect from communist Czechoslovakia, joined the U.S. intelligence apparatus, and fed secrets back to the KGB for 2 decades.
Or Gunter Guillaume.
The aide to Willy Brandt? Yes, exactly. A sleeper agent. He didn't just work in some low-level office. He became a close personal aide to the Chancellor of West Germany. I mean, you can have 24-ton doors at the entrance, but if the guy holding the keys is working for the other side, the doors are just decoration. Guillaume was activated after years of just blending in. The system believed it was secure because the walls were thick, but the threat was sitting at the right hand of the Chancellor.
Okay, I will concede that vetting has historically had its gaps. But those are failures of implementation, not failures of the concept of secrecy itself. And modern systems, they account for this. We don't just rely on loyalty anymore. We rely on redundancy and surveillance of the surveillors.
Do we? Or is that just what we tell ourselves so we can sleep at night? You have to understand that secrecy isn't just about walls. It's about the mind. And the human mind is the easiest lock to pick. This is where the whole concept of the hoax becomes so relevant.
So now we're moving from espionage to pranks?
No, we're moving from physical engineering to social engineering. The mechanism is identical. Look at the spaghetti tree incident in 1957. The BBC convinces an entire nation that spaghetti grows on bushes, or World Jump Day, where millions of people thought they could shift the Earth's orbit by jumping at the exact same time.
I'd argue those are examples of gullibility, not security breaches.
But they're examples of how desperate we are to believe in a secret reality. We want to believe there's hidden knowledge. And the architects of secrecy, they exploit this. They rely on the "do not open" sign to create a mystique. But so often when you finally pry open the box, you find it's just a model made by a sci-fi author, like that pickled dragon found in a garage in 2004. People thought it was proof of cryptozoology. It was just rubber and spirits.
You're conflating the public's appetite for wonder with the government's capacity for continuity. There's a massive difference between a prank about pasta and, the continuity of government.
But the psychological mechanism, that suspension of disbelief, is exactly the same. You rely on the public believing the door is locked. I'm just saying the lock is in our heads.
I have to disagree. The mechanisms I'm discussing are not psychological tricks. They are hard, physical realities designed to ensure survival. Let's move to the ultimate example of this, where the stakes are highest. Air Force One. You want to talk about theater? This is the opposite. This is a flying fortress.
It's a Boeing 747 with a nice paint job.
It is SAM 28,000. It has 175 miles of wiring inside it. That's twice that of a standard jumbo jet. And every single inch of it is shielded.
Shielded from what exactly?
From EMPs, electromagnetic pulses. If a nuclear weapon detonates, it fries every circuit on the ground. Cars stop, phones die, the grid goes completely dark. But that plane, it keeps flying. It has electronic countermeasures to jam enemy radar. A 400-ton object becomes electronically invisible. That isn't theater. That is the architecture of secrecy functioning at its absolute peak.
That is a compelling argument for physical survival. I'll give you that. But you are missing the entire modern context. You can put a president in a granite mountain or a shielded plane, but you cannot shield the everyday surveillance that surrounds the infrastructure supporting them.
Meaning?
The data trails. We aren't in the era of copper cables anymore, where you needed a diver to physically tap a line. Today, the world's secrets run on fiber optics. Intelligence agencies don't need to break into the mountain. They just tap the Internet Exchange Points, the IXPs.
You're going to have to break that down for me.
Okay, think of an IXP as a massive highway interchange for the Internet. If you send an email from London to New York, it doesn't float on a cloud. It travels through physical cables that meet at these hubs. If you control the hub, you see all the traffic. You can hide the president, sure, but you can't hide the data world he moves through.
But Air Force One specifically avoids those networks. It's designed as a closed loop. It even has retractable stairs so it doesn't have to rely on airport facilities. It's an island.
And yet, it has a fatal flaw, a vulnerability so banal it's almost funny. Food.
The kitchens can prepare 100 meals at once. They have freezers for 2,000 meals.
True, but where does the lettuce come from? The steaks, the coffee. The research explicitly reveals that to keep the stocks fresh, the stewards have to go out into the insecure world. They have to visit local grocery stores, selecting them at random to avoid poisoning plots. Just think about the absurdity of that image for a second.
I wouldn't call it absurd. I'd call it tactical.
It's a gaping hole. You have a multi-million-dollar flying fortress with EMP shielding and radar jamming, and the security of the leader of the free world depends on a steward, quietly buying milk at a Piggly Wiggly without acting suspicious. The Secret Service has to interact with the banal open world. The system cannot be closed.
I would frame that as managed randomness, not a systemic failure. You see a vulnerability, I see a defense mechanism. If you don't have a fixed supply chain, you don't have a predictable target. By using the chaotic open market randomly, we actually increase security. Predictability is death. Randomness is safety.
But it proves my point. You have to leave the fortress, and once you leave, you're subject to the chaos of the real world. And that brings us right back to the people. You keep citing the human element as some manageable variable. I see it as the primary failure point.
Loyalty is a resource we cultivate.
Loyalty is the most fragile material in the world, much, much weaker than granite.
Not when it is engineered. The pilots of Air Force One are handpicked after distinguished careers. The Secret Service agents aren't just standing around. They are strategically hidden throughout the aircraft, specifically near the president's suite in the nose. We even use spin and off-the-record conversations as a kind of pressure valve.
Spin isn't a pressure valve. It's a leak you're trying to take credit for after the fact.
No, it's a way to release information on our terms without breaking the dam. It is a controlled release.
Or it's the dam breaking in slow motion. Look at the history of whistleblowers. You mentioned vetting. Vetting cannot predict a change of conscience. Mark Felt, Deep Throat, he was the associate director of the FBI. He was the architecture, and yet he leaked the Watergate details that brought down a president.
An extreme exception.
Is it? What about Jeff Wickend? He was deep inside the tobacco industry. He knew the do not open secrets about addiction and cancer-causing additives. The file was thick, the NDA was signed, but he opened it anyway.
Those are moral pivots.
Exactly. And you cannot engineer a moral pivot out of a human being. The human glitch is unavoidable. You can build 24-ton doors to keep your enemies out, but if the person on the inside decides they have a higher loyalty to the truth or simply gets greedy, those doors are useless.
I'm not convinced. You're engaging in a kind of confirmation bias. We only know about the secrets that failed. We don't know about the successes. That is the nature of this field. The victories are silent. We don't know about the 50 agents who didn't leak. However, there is another layer to this. Sometimes secrecy isn't about hiding facts. It's about maintaining a necessary mystique.
The myth defense.
Precisely. Look at the almighty dollar, an object we touch every single day. And it's covered in open secrets. The Novus Ordo Seclorum, New Order of the Ages, the unfinished pyramid with its 13 steps, the all-seeing eye floating above it. These symbols create a narrative. They hint at the Illuminati or Masonic destinies. The government doesn't explain them away. They just let the mystery sit there. It strengthens the authority of the currency.
Or it just fuels Reddit threads and 1,000 conspiracy theories.
But the mystery has value. Look at the Nazca lines or the Bermuda Triangle. The fact that we haven't fully opened these boxes is what keeps them culturally powerful. If we knew exactly why ships disappeared in the Caribbean, or if we just accepted it's probably methane gas and weird weather patterns, the cultural power of the Bermuda Triangle just vanishes. We need the unknown.
I could not disagree more strongly. We don't need the unknown. We tolerate it only until science comes along and destroys it. And science is absolutely ruthless. You talk about the power of mystery, but look at the case of Anastasia Romanov.
A tragic story, yes, but a powerful myth. For 80 years, it was a powerful myth. Did the youngest daughter of the Tsar survive the massacre in 1918? The Do Not Open file was lost. Then along comes Anna Anderson. She claims to be Anastasia. She has the scars, the knowledge, the demeanor. People wanted to believe in the secret of her survival.
She had immense support. It was a romantic secret. It gave people a sense of hope until the blast door of science came crashing down. DNA testing. They didn't just guess. They compared her DNA against a sample from the Duke of Edinburgh. And the result? She wasn't a princess. She was a Polish factory worker named Franciszka Szankowska. The secret was exposed. The mystery was destroyed.
But that took 80 years. For 80 years, the possibility of it held power. That proves my point that the architecture of secrecy can hold for an entire lifetime.
But it inevitably fell. That's my point. You can't outrun the lab. Look at crop circles. For years, they were watchers in space, a sign of alien contact. The mystery was profound. Then in 1991, Doug Bauer and Dave Chorley just admitted they did it with planks and ropes. The alien secret was just two guys with a board. We protect these secrets because we want the world to be magical. But forensic reality, whether it's carbon-14 or a DNA swab, it always, always wins. You can encode Novus Ordo Seclorum on a dollar bill, but eventually someone will just point out it's a design choice from 1776, not a magical spell.
You're looking at the endpoint and declaring the journey a failure. I'm looking at the journey itself. The fact that we still discuss the Illuminati in relation to the dollar bill proves that the symbol transcends the fact. The architecture of the symbol is stronger than the mundane explanation.
But is it stronger than the truth?
Perhaps truth isn't the only goal. Continuity is the goal. Survival is the goal. Which brings us, I suppose, to the impasse.
An illuminating one, I think.
I believe that while individual secrets may break, a mole might leak a file, a DNA test might identify a body,
The infrastructure of secrecy is essential for civilization. We need the blast valves of Cheyenne Mountain. We need to know that there are places that can snap shut in an instant. The complexity of the world demands that some things remain in the unthinkable category, protected by steel, by springs, and by silence. We simply cannot live in a glass house.
And I conclude that the effort to mark the world "do not open" is ultimately futile. The human drive, the same drive that deciphered the Rosetta Stone, that mapped the human genome, is to open every single box. Whether it's a whistleblower like Jeff Wiegand refusing to let a corporation hide the truth about cancer, or a scientist testing a lock of hair to solve a royal murder, we will always find a way in. The unknown is just a temporary state.
It seems we are destined to remain in this dance. The architects build the walls higher.
And the curious just build taller ladders.
And it is this tension between the secret keepers and the truth seekers that likely drives history forward.
Leaving our listeners to decide if they would prefer to live in a world of safe secrets
Or uncomfortable truths. Thank you for listening to The Debate.